My name is Daniel. I'm 38, and I spend my days deciding which buildings get to live. I'm a structural engineer, the person they send in after the cracks appear, to decide whether a wall is just tired or whether the whole thing is quietly coming down. I can usually tell by the sound. Tap a wall that's holding weight, and it answers solid. Tap the pretty ones that hold nothing, and you hear the hollow. I never thought I'd need that skill at my own kitchen table. Then, on an ordinary Sunday evening, my wife Claire set down her tea, folded her hands like she'd rehearsed it, and asked me for a break and a divorce, she said quickly. Just space, 90 days, no questions, no checking in. I need to figure out who I am outside of us. She called it a break. I'd have spent 15 years listening to walls, and I heard the word for what it really was. A demolition notice she wanted me to sign without reading. What she didn't know, and sitting there searching my face for panic, was that in 90 days she'd come back expecting to move back in, and find that I'd already had the building condemned. Back to savage cheating stories, where ordinary people reach their breaking point and walk out with their dignity intact. If you've ever been told to wait quietly in the ruins of your own marriage, stay to the end. This one's for you. Comment, hit subscribe, and let me take you back to that kitchen and a version of me that almost begged. Because I almost did. That's the part I'm not proud of. For about 10 seconds, everything in me wanted to reach across the table and ask what I'd done wrong, promised to fix it, promised to be whatever she needed. 8 years of marriage will do that. It teaches your body to lunge toward the person walking away. But I didn't move. I've stood in enough failing buildings to know the worst thing you can do when something starts to go is to grab the wall that's falling. I just nodded and said, "Okay, 90 days. She blinked. She'd braced for a fight, and I'd handed her silence instead. I think, looking back, that silence scared her more than any argument would have. Let me tell you who I was that night, because it's the man Claire was counting on. I'm steady. Predictable, even. I'm the one who remembers the anniversaries, who fixes the leaking tap, who's home for dinner. In our marriage, I was the load-bearing wall, the thing everything rested on, so ordinary that no one thought about it until they wanted to knock it out to make the room feel bigger. Hare had started calling our life comfortable the way people say it right before they burn something down. Comfortable, safe, boring. I heard the hollow in her voice for months and told myself it was just a tired wall. So when she asked for 90 days, I gave her 90 days. I gave her 90 days. She didn't understand was that I intended to use mine too. The first week nearly broke me. The house was too quiet. I'd reach for my phone to text her something small and stop halfway. But by the second week, something in me shifted from grief into assessment. The same cold clarity that settles over me when I walk into a condemned building. Stop feeling the loss. Start reading the structure. What's actually holding weight here? What's just been painted to look like it is? I have started paying attention to the things I'd been trained to ignore in my own home. I noticed our savings first. Because I was snooping, I've always handled the accounts, but because during her break, money began moving in ways it never had. A hotel 2 towns over on a weeknight. A restaurant I'd never taken her to for 2. A weekend charge at a lake resort 3 hours north, the same weekend she'd told her sister she needed time alone. I didn't confront it. I photographed every statement, quietly, the way I document cracks before a demolition. Not with anger, just with the patience of a man building a file that would matter later. And on day 31, a friend of ours named Priya called me. She hesitated, then said she thought I should know she'd seen Claire out. With someone? A man named Adam. From Claire's office? The work friend whose name had been surfacing for the better part of a year. Priya said they weren't hiding it. Claire had told a table of people, laughing, that she was on a break and finally living. I thanked Priya. I didn't cry. I sat in my quiet kitchen and tapped my knuckle against the table out of habit, listening for the sound, and for the first time in 8 years my own home answered hollow. But the thing that truly condemned the building wasn't the affair. It was one sentence, relayed to me weeks later, that Claire had said to a mutual friend, when the friend asked if she was worried about losing me. Hare had smiled and said, Daniel's not going anywhere. He'll wait. He always waits. That's what he's for. That's what he's for. I want to be honest. That sentence didn't destroy me. It freed me. And because for 8 years I'd been afraid that ending things would make me the villain, the one who gave up. And in one careless line, Claire had told me exactly how she saw me. Not as a husband, but as a safety net. A wall she could knock down to open up the room, confident it would somehow still be there to hold the roof when she was done exploring the view. So I did what I do best. I made an assessment. And I condemned the structure. For the rest of those 90 days, I didn't chase her and I didn't confront her. I let her believe I was exactly where she'd left me. But quietly, I rebuilt. I met with a lawyer during my lunch breaks and learned that the break she'd designed as her freedom had, financially, protected me. Every dated hotel charge, every transfer was now evidence of where the marriage had actually ended. I moved my half of our savings into an account she couldn't reach, legally and cleanly. I took the promotion I'd been turning down for years because it meant travel, and she needed me home. I started running again. I fixed the parts of my own life I'd let go soft while I was busy being the wall everyone leaned on. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting. I was building something with my own name on it. Day 90 came on a Thursday. Claire came home the way you return to a house you're sure is still yours. No knock, keys already in her hand. She'd rehearsed this too. I could tell. She sat at the same table, folded her hands the same way, and told me she'd done a lot of thinking. That she'd gotten it out of her system. That she was ready to come home and put the family back together, and that she hoped I'd grown too. I let her finish, and I slid a folder across the table. Not dramatically, just the way I'd hand a client an inspection report. She opened it. The hotel statements, and resort weekend. The dated transfers, and clipped to the back. Divorce papers already filed, already dated 3 weeks earlier. Her face did the thing I'd watched 100 buildings do in the second before they come down. That stillness, right before the structure admits what it's known all along. And you said you needed to find out who you are without me, I said quietly. I believed you, so I spent 90 days finding out who I am without you. Turns out I'm fine. Better, actually. And the words tumbled out. It had been a mistake. Adam meant nothing. She'd been confused. She still loved me. We could go to counseling. And underneath all of it, a line she was sure would work, the same math she'd done with our friend. You don't just throw away 8 years. You're not the kind of man who walks away. I'm not, I agreed. I'm the kind who gets asked to look at something everyone's decided is fine, and to say out loud when it isn't. You ask for space, Claire. I'm just giving you all of it. She told me I was being cruel, that the calm was cruel, that a good man would have fought for her. And I understood, standing there, that she'd wanted the break to be a small controlled fire she could warm herself by and then put out. She never imagined the wall would simply agree to come down. She left that night with one suitcase and the stunned expression of someone who'd finally been taken at her word. Aftermath came in pieces. Adam? A great adventure lasted about as long as the secret did. Once there was nothing forbidden about it, there wasn't much left at all. Through Priya, I heard Claire told people I'd changed, that I'd become cold. What she called cold was just a man who'd finally stopped volunteering to be load-bearing for someone who kept trying to knock him out. She reached out a few more times over the following months. Long messages, then short ones, and a voicemail I saved but never returned. Not out of spite, but because I finally understood there was nothing structural left to save. Haven drove past the new place once or twice. A neighbor mentioned a car that slowed and moved on. I didn't feel triumphant about it. I just felt like a man standing on solid ground for the first time in years. Here's what 15 years of walking through failing buildings taught me, and what 90 silent days finally taught my heart. Not every crack is cosmetic. Some of them are the structure telling you the truth the rest of the house is too polite to say, and you cannot reinforce a foundation that has already decided to fall. You can only make sure you're not still standing inside it, holding up the ceiling for someone who's already walked out the door. Claire asked me for a break. I gave her the whole thing, clean and permanent and load-bearing. She just never expected the wall to walk out first.